Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. First of all, I suppose you might say, why as a United fan are you not using United Stand to do a video on why Manchester United have finished? It would make sense, but actually, I think this is more of a message, well, it is a message to United fans, but we're probably all already aware about it. This is a message to rival fans or fans of other clubs who think, oh, United will be back next season. We won't. We're finished, and I'm going to tell you why we're finished and why many United fans are waking up this morning realising we're finished. 5 points, really. First of all, let's start off with the board. Manchester United's board have had money. Over the last 9 years, we spent over £1 billion. They may as well have thrown it on a bonfire. They haven't got a clue. They're bankers, they're mates, it's friends reunited, it's people who aren't qualified for the job. We bring people in to train the youth who are trying to get their badges, and we make them technical directors. We make people who came to the club with Moyes as scouts, directors of football. We employ our new CEO is the old CEO's mate. They don't know what they're doing, and they're still in the club, and they're still making the decisions. This board will be the end of Manchester United, and they are going to remain here, employing their friends, protecting themselves, and you compare us to other clubs, and there's no other board like ours. And I'm not saying that in a good way. There's no other board like ours. No, it's almost that relative you take to a party and you apologise when you get there. They're absolutely clueless. They don't know what they're doing, and they're not going anywhere. So that is problem number one. Problem two, and similar to that, is the Glazers. They bought the club on debt. They repaid that debt with the profits of this club. They basically got United for free and made a lot of money out of it. They are parasites. They literally bought the club to make money from it, as I said, and they continue to do that. And there is no way of removing them because they've valued the club so highly from all their business ventures, the brands, everything like that. They've boosted the value so high, nobody will ever buy it. So we're stuck with the Glazers as well, who are even worse than our board in relation to football knowledge, which takes some doing. But basically, they've turned Manchester United into an NFL franchise where you don't need to win something to make lots and lots of money. They've made Manchester United like Chicago Bears or Miami Dolphins or Tampa Bay Buccaneers or San Francisco 49ers, where you don't have to win the Super Bowl for 10 years, but you can still be a massively popular club that makes a lot of money. And that's what Manchester United have become under the Glazers. They are not football fans. They are not Manchester United fans. And they own this football club. And that's not going to change either. And yet, there are other clubs that have bad owners, but there's a lot of clubs that just want to be a football club. We want to be a brand, and that is problem number two. Problem number three is the playing staff. It's signings. Now, I actually think there is a bit of a positive. I thought last summer, Varane was very obvious, but it was a good deal. And he is a player, one of the few, that comes out of the season with credibility that other clubs would buy. And I would say that to you in the chat. How many players would you actually take from Manchester United? And Varane would be one of those. Ronaldo, look, Ronaldo's very easy to criticise, but look at what Ronaldo did against Spurs at the weekend. If you put him in the right team, he would do that every week. If you put him in a United team, he struggles because the team around him is crap. You put Messi, you put Lewandowski, you put Haaland, you put Kane in that team, they would struggle as much as Ronaldo. There'd be moments of brilliance and there'd be moments of frustration. Sancho's a good signing. Ranić's finally got the best out of him. Oli bought him and didn't know what to do with him. It's like he didn't have the instructions. So yeah, they weren't bad signings, but then you go beyond that, the Harry Maguires, the Donny van der Beeks, the Aaron Wan-Bissakas, the Di Marias, the Memphis Depays, the list goes on and on and on and on. And even if United sort out their signings, and I'm talking about why United have finished here, this is what we're talking about, the 5 reasons United's future is screwed. Board, Glazers, they're not going anywhere, so that means we're going to have another 9 years of this. But the signings are now a problem as well. Because Ronaldo will probably leave, Pogba's going to go, Cavani's going to go, and you end up with the mistakes of the past. Even though Varane's a good signing from last summer and Sancho's a good signing from last summer, and they will stay at the club next year, you are lumbered with Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. What do you do with Donny van der Beek? What do you do with Martial? What do you do with Rashford? What do you do with McTominay? What do you do with Bruno, who's underperforming? You get left with the underperformers who've been proven to be not good enough. But nobody will buy them, and they're not going anywhere. And they're so expensive, and their wages are so big, you can't chuck them in the reserves or on the bench. You've got to play them. So you end up in it's like working in an office where you've got people who want to leave because they're ambitious, and you get stuck with people who aren't very good at their job, who won't leave because they're not ambitious, and you can't get rid of them because they've not really done enough to be sacked. That's what United are stuck with. They're stuck with this deadwood. Next season, you will see some of these crap players still playing for the team, still earning massive wages, and therefore you compare us to other clubs who are renovating their teams, and I'd use Arsenal here. They've got rid of that deadwood and they've brought players in, and they're heading in the right direction, whereas United are actually heading down with that playing staff. Even if United have a really good summer this summer in relation to recruitment, they're still going to be stuck with the crap players that have caused us the problems over the last couple of years. That's point 3. Point 4 is, and probably the most important thing, because I said in January United are finished. Manchester United are finished. They're going to be getting worse and worse for the next 18 months. It's a long way back, and the way back is a new board, new owners, clear out these players, an absolute fire sale really, which won't happen. But one of their biggest problems as well, and why United are finished and why rival fans shouldn't be concerned about us bouncing back, is that Chelsea, I think, will be fine. Liverpool and Man City are going to be fine. So that's 3 clubs better than United straight away. Arsenal's trajectory is up. Spurs, if they keep Conte and they buy like they did in January, their trajectory will be up as well. And then you've got the likes of Newcastle and Aston Villa, who I think are, well, Newcastle have definitely got the money, but I think Villa are better run than United and better recruiters than United. Manchester United, if we are fighting for 4th, we're going to get further away from the 3 above us, and we're going to get closer to the 4 or 5 teams that are fighting for 4th. And we'll drop down because of the reasons I've just said. Board, Glazers, playing staff not being good enough, and we're stuck with that playing staff. So, and other clubs are coming forward, so that's going to be problem number 4. And when you combine those 4 things, other clubs getting better, we're getting worse, stuck with players that aren't good enough, a board that doesn't know what it's doing, and owners that just want to make money, that is why things are not going to get better for Manchester United. We might go and beat Leicester in a couple of weeks. We might maybe get a result at the Emirates. But longer term, consistency will be bad performances, bad results, because that club is rotten from the top to the bottom. And it will get worse. It will get worse. Every United fan expects it to get worse. Maybe our rivals, maybe other clubs think, oh, United will bounce back. We won't. Because the problems we've got can't be solved in one summer. It ain't a game of FIFA. It's not a game of Football Manager. You can't... They're incapable of probably selling the players we need to, but even if you wanted to, it would take you 2 or 3 years to renovate and build this club up again. But this club doesn't have the appetite to do that. They're more focused on their brand deals, their new kits, how they can how they can manipulate the fan base and keep making money. Can we get into a Super League? Can we get more money from the Premier League deal? This is what Man United are about. They're not thinking about a rebuild, and it will get worse and worse and worse. And then point 5, which is the saddest of the lot, is on the fans. It's fan fatigue. And what I mean by that is, we had the Super League where people, reacted fantastically well. There was protests, there was real passion. Time and time again, there's been, points where the fans have called the Glazers out, they've called the board out, they've called the players out, they've pulled the manager out. But I think after 9 years, nearly 10 years since Sir Alex left now, I think you sense it in the United fan base. There's a fatigue. There's not an acceptance, but there's an apathy. And what I mean by that is that the standards are on the floor, and it's almost like we don't know how to get them up. We know it's unacceptable, but we've almost been ground down to not accept it, but realise this is our path. And the fans are powerless to do anything about it as well. So there's no way back for Manchester United that I see in the short term. Over the next 18 months, I think next season's going to be a massive struggle. I can already see United not being in the top 4. We're not going to be in the Champions League as things stand anyway. So we haven't won a trophy for the longest period since the late 60s to the mid 70s. That's going to continue. We're at our worst point. The only thing I can't say is, are we at a worse point than we were at times in the late 80s or when we got relegated in the early 70s, because I was too young to know anything about that or hadn't been born. But in my lifetime, this is the lowest point we've been as a football club. And that basically is from, late 80s to now. I wouldn't trust my young child self in the late 80s to say that this is worse, but certainly this is the worst situation we've been in for 32 years. So yeah, it's not good. And the point of the video is to say to those Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, whatever fan you are, this ain't a blip. This is a long-term problem for United that is only going to get worse. And it's not helped by the media, who still treat us like a club that can make a signing or get a new manager in, and it will all be solved. And I think some fans who don't delve into United's problems because they don't need to, don't realise that. They probably think, oh, United are a good manager away from challenging for the title, or a good player away from, you know, getting back into the top 4 race. We're not. We're not. For the 5 reasons I've said, and the funny thing about those 5 reasons I've listed, even 2 of them would be critical. They'd mess you up. We've got 5 big issues, and you can't solve 5 issues. I don't think you can solve those 5 issues in 2 years, let alone solve 3 of them. So we are in trouble, big trouble at Manchester United. And as things stand, United is finished as a big football club. The Glazers will keep coining the money because the fan base is huge, but the way that club's run from top to bottom, it's a 5-point plan that needs solving, and they won't solve one. And who's going to be the next manager? Pochettino, twice sacked in his last 2 jobs because his players turned on him. Perfect for United with the problems we've got. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and get your comments in below.